Alright, so let's see what the question is. You have been told the greatest depth of water in the container is 0.3 meters. The diagram shows the cross section. Calculate the number of liters of water in the container. Alright, so the very first thing that you got to understand is this, what is shaded in gray here. This gray part, it is not a semicircle. It isn't a semicircle. Then what is it? It is a segment. So it is a segment. It is a segment of this. Let me put like this. Let me put the entire circle. Then you may get it. All right. So this gray part, or what is shaded in gray here, is a segment of this orange circle. All right. And how do we find the area of a segment? How do we find the area of a segment? The first thing we got to do is we got to find the area of the sector. So let's form a sector this way. All right. So what's my plan? My plan is to first find the area of this sector. So my plan is to find the area of the sector. Then I would go on to find the area of this green colored triangle. Then I would subtract the green triangle's area from the sector's area to find the area of the segment. Alright, let's do this. So to find the area of the sector, I got to know what's the angle here. What is the angle that is at the center? So how do I figure out that? We have been told the radius of this half a cylinder. This half cylinder's radius is 0.45. So what does that mean? This red line here is 0.45. Not only that, even this is 0.45, what I'm drawing in blue now. The entire blue line is radius, it is 0.45. Then what would be this path's length, this segment, the segment that I'm showing in orange? The entire thing is 0.45. From 0.45, I subtract this 0.3. Then what do I get? I get 0.15. And we have been given this angle is 90 here. So this is 90. And this 0.3 meters is a height. So this is 90 here. All right. So let's try to figure out what this angle's value is. The angle that I'm coloring in green. How do we find that? We can apply trigonometry to the triangle. Let me label the triangle. Let's say triangle, let's call this center as OAB. So let's apply trigonometry to triangle OAB. And let me call this angle as angle Y here. How do we find what angle Y's magnitude is? What do I know? I know the length of the hypotenuse and I know the length of the adjacent side. So then I can use cos. So what can I say? I can say cos y is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So what's cos y equals, what's the length of the adjacent side? That is 0.15. And what's the hypotenuse? That's the radius, 0.45. Then what is y equal to? That is equal to cos inverse, or cos inverse 0.15 over 0.45. So y equals, let's ask the calculator, what is cos inverse of 0.15 over 0.45 is? Zero point 0.15. So we get the y as 70 point. When we ask for the cos inverse, we get 70.528. 528. Let me use two decimal places. So 70.53. Alright, so angle Y is 70.53. Now if angle Y is 70.53, what's this angle? Which let's label that as X. So what can we say about these two triangles? Triangle that I'm marking with a tick and a question mark. What can we say about these two triangles? They are congruent to each other. They are congruent, or they are identical triangles. So then what should be the x's value? It is equal to y's value. So x is 70.53. So what does that mean? What is the angle of the sector? The angle of the sector is twice of 70.53. This angle that is at the center is twice of 70.53. So that's 2 times 70.53. Let's ask the calculator. That is 141.06, 141.06. So the angle at the center is 141.06. Now we can find the area of the sector. So what's the area of the sector? Area of the sector. What's the formula? That is theta over 360 into pi r squared. That is, just a while ago we found out what's theta's values. The angle at the center is 141.06 over 360 into pi into r squared. The radius of the sector is 0.45. 0.45 squared. Alright, let's type this into the calculator to see what we get. So it is 141.06 over 360, that to be multiplied by pi, and it will be multiplied by 0.45 squared. 0.45 So let's see what, so when we multiply, what do we get? Let's do the multiplication. You can try the multiplication. Alright, so when we multiply, we get 0.2492. 0.2492. What's this? This is the area of the sect. But what are we supposed to find out? We're supposed to find out the area of the segment, this gray thing. So how do we find that? We got to find the area of the triangle. Which triangle is it? This triangle which I'm coloring in green. Alright, so what do we do? Let's find the area of the triangle that I'm marking with the tick here, this triangle OAB. How do we find that? That's area of the triangle equals half AB into sine C. So that's half times. What's A? Let's take 0.15. And what's B here? 0.45. And what is C? The angle C is, sine C is this. So that's Y, which we have already found out, 70.53. So sine 70.53. Now just a matter of inserting these values to the calculator. So when we do the multiplication using the calculator, we get 0.0318. So area of this triangle is 0.0318. So then what should be the area of this triangle that has been labeled with a question mark? Since the two triangles are congruent, they are identical. So this too is 0.0318. So then what's the entire green triangle's area? That's twice of 0.0318. What would that be? That is 0.0636. So now we are in a position to find the area of the gray segment, that is area of the sector. From the area of the sector we subtract the area of the green triangle. So that's, let me do right up here, 0.2492 minus 0.0636. So it's 0.1856. So the area of this gray part, or area of the cross section of the prism. Now No, from where does the prism come? Just imagine this gray, some gray color liquid. Just they have said water. Let's consider some liquid, gray liquid. If this gray liquid is frozen, how would it look like? It would look like this. It would be a prism with this cross section. So it would look like something like this. It will take the container shape at the bottom. So how do you find the volume of that frozen liquid? That is area of the cross section into the length. So that's 0.1856 times 4. What would that give us? So that gives us 0.7424 cubic meters. They want us to give the number of the volume in liters, the volume of liquid in liters. So what's the connection? 1 cubic meter is equal to 1000 liters. So then how many liters would it be? 0.7424 multiplied by 1000, which would give us 742.4 liters.